気になるルフィの仲間だという二人の女。どうしてもわらわよりその二人の方が良いと申すのか。
俺のことは忘れろって言ってんだろ。おめえも諦めの悪い女だな。
全て改めるぞ。待つのじゃルフィ。
Hey my dear pirates. You are on channel Straw Hat's One Piece Theories. And in today's video we're going to talk about building relationships in One Piece. As we know, Eiichiro Oda already mentioned in an interview that he had no interest in bringing relationships between the members of the Straw Hat Pirates, but he also said that Luffy's mother was not that important to the work, but apparently even changed his mind, and apparently he ended up introducing Luffy's mother in the manga. So could the same not happen with Luffy's possible relationships? And if it happens, how and with whom will our dear captain choose? Nami, Robin, or is it really the Empress of Serpents, Boa Hancock? Well, we're going to analyze all this in today's video. So if you want to be a pirate king like me and achieve eternal glory, go ahead and press the like button with all the power of your devil fruit. And if you're new here my dear sailor, already subscribe to the channel and don't forget to activate the notifications bell so you don't miss any new video, okay? Then join this crew that will dominate the entire Grand Line and the New World. Now without further ado, let's get to this epic video. And well my dear pirate, everyone knows that Oda always said that he would never have romance in One Piece because the Straw Hats are all in love with the sea. The reason is obvious. There is no space in the work to develop passions and jealousy, possible love triangles and dramatic arcs about the Straw Hats' love for each other or for people outside the group. So the most we have is either some frustrated relationship, possibly involving Sanji, or promises of couples for the epilogue of One Piece, like the case of Usopp with Kaya, or even, perhaps, of Luffy with Hancock. On the other hand, a lot has already changed in One Piece since its early years, and it's not impossible that Oda is interested in incorporating more romance in the near future. Obviously, it can't be anything that disturbs the narrative structure of the manga. These relationships can end up happening with a certain grace and comic content, but without much drama around the fact. After all, if we go back to Sanji's example, we see how Oda really has no intention of pairing up. He just likes to play around with such ideas. For most conspiracy theorists, and myself included, there are indications that Oda could take this course based on events we saw in the course of One Piece. First, we saw Nami say that Sanji's chivalry had risen in his esteem. In Dressrosa, there was a real flirtation between Sanji and Violet, even if it didn't go anywhere. Now, in Totoland, our stallion snatched Pudding's heart, but as we saw, that only served to destroy Sanji's heart in the end, and that ended up bringing yet another important scene for Sanji and Nami's relationship. After all, the way how thrilled she was to see her friend again felt so much more like someone finally seeing the person she loves return. In fact, if we stop to think about it, in Whole Cake Island there were several scenes that brightened the lives of those who really believed in the relationship between Sanji and Nami. Personally, I confess that from that arc on I noticed a chemistry between the two that I had never seen before. In other words, my dear sailor, if Oda really didn't want to introduce relationships into One Piece for whatever reason, well, it looks like he's slowly changing his mind. And I believe this may have something to do with Oda's own life. Recently, in 2020, Color Walk 9 was released in Japan, which is a book with a collection of illustrations from the One Piece manga. Along with the artwork, each issue features an unprecedented interview with One Piece creator Eiichiro Oda, who has always been extremely dedicated to the work. In an excerpt, Oda reveals that he didn't want to know about dating and relationships when he started writing One Piece, all this to keep full focus on his work. However, even with all the work he had with One Piece, even with the work gaining notoriety, allowing Oda to have assistants to help him with the manga, whether designing backgrounds or even putting the effects of fights after Oda finished drawing the characters, Oda ended up getting married and consequently had a daughter. I'm not saying that this made Oda change his opinion about having or not having relationships within One Piece, but it is interesting to know that in the beginning he didn't care so much about girlfriends as well as the characters within his work, but over time this has been changing, just like in your life. And that reminds me of Kishimoto, author of Naruto. The same has already said that he had no ability to write relationships and that his manga, Naruto, was in fact a fighting anime, a pure shounen, but as Naruto was having a great appeal not only from young boys but also on the part of girls, Kishimoto then decided to introduce novels within his manga, but this ended up creating many conflicts. He replied in an interview that his wife was furious at how things ended in relation to the couples he made. When the Naruto manga and anime finally finished publishing, some fans were furious that Kishimoto had married Naruto to Hinata instead of Sakura, his childhood sweetheart. These two anime novels have always been a huge controversy within Naruto. After all, the main character was in love with Sakura for most of the story. The decision to make Naruto marry Hinata was so controversial that even the author's own wife approved. I hadn't realized all this controversy. To tell you the truth, I almost caused a rift in my own house too, because my wife was really upset that Naruto married Hinata and not Sakura. My wife complained a lot to me about this decision, and so I had to try to defuse that bombshell by explaining to her that my inspiration for Hinata was her, said Kishimoto during a rare interview at New York Comic Con. According to Masashi Kishimoto's editor, this decision went down badly with the Naruto producers working at Studio Pierrot at the time. Interestingly enough, Naruto's crush on Sakura kind of fades after she declares herself to him, asking Naruto to give up trying to get Sasuke back to Konoha. So to set things straight, Kishimoto decided to write the last movie, which would be the story that would hopefully give some weight to Naruto and Hinata's relationship. But even after the movie, it was clear that Kishimoto shouldn't have involved romance in a shounen anime, even more so in his case. After all, he said he was terrible at creating relationship. That is, my dear pirate. As much as it is cool to have these relationships within One Piece, Oda has to be very careful that the same does not happen with his work, otherwise it could bring a lot of negative reviews to One Piece, even more so now that we are entering your final part. But now you might be wondering, so the best thing to do is not build any relationships in One Piece? Well, it's not that. In fact, Oda is a better writer and storyteller than Kishimoto, so even if he develops some romance within One Piece and these novels don't turn out well, I believe it would be impossible for them to turn out worse than what we saw in Naruto. After all, Oda has already created at least a few couples, and the way it is happening, without being forced, in the end, it may be very good. As I mentioned, Sanji and Nami have everything to form a perfect couple at the end of One Piece. But we have to remember Luffy and Boa Hancock too. Both are that typical anime couple where the man is completely obsessed with fights and is a little naive, and the woman is very strict but is very sentimental too. And the coolest thing about this couple is that both fight, both are facing problems. Unlike Goku and Chi-Chi or Naruto and Hinata, Luffy and Hancock will form a couple of fighters even though both have several aspects of a common couple from a shounen anime. We saw this in Marineford, Amazon Lily, and even the movie, Stampede. So I believe that yes, you can have romance and relationships in One Piece, they are already happening, but it has to be done well, and I think that the comic tone that Oda gives to his characters makes these couples not sound forced. Of course, he could create a love trio, who knows, making Nami or even Vivi feel a certain jealous of Luffy and his relationship with Hancock. This would serve to further emphasize the feelings of all characters, but nothing more that alone would suffice. If we couldn't see the same thing that happened in the case of Naruto, Hinata, and Sakura. But now I want to know your opinion about everything we talked about here today. Will it be that from the time until the end of One Piece we will have a couple formed? Will we have a love triangle? But of course, if you made it this far, it's because you like the content, so it doesn't hurt to subscribe to our channel and become one more member of our fleet, my dear sailor. And of course, do not forget to press the like button, that helps a lot in spreading the video and the channel, so help us to become the largest fleet of pirates here on YouTube, okay? A big hug for everyone, and until the next video.